Quit horsing around!
It'd be better if it wasn't already cold. That's also better. Hi, hello YouTube. A late evening again. Trying to get schoolwork done, but I actually didn't get anything done in class because my screen wasn't working for some reason. I don't know what happened, but my pen just wasn't connected. And my school ended up having a screening because next year we're gonna be making our own movies. So like 2D and 3D movies with like directors and everyone has their own role. So that's gonna be really cool. And we got to saw their opening scenes for their movie and just kind of watch to see what their films are gonna be about. But yeah, it ended up taking like an hour longer than I thought. And I was thinking to stay and try and get some work done, but I'm so cold and I want to go home, so that's just not happening today. But I did work a little bit on that robot assignment. I did say I was going to bleed into my next video, and if you guys are seeing this, then clearly it did. This is probably my biggest project that I have to get done, but it's also the last one for this class, so I actually want to do really good on it. And I just recorded a little bit of that, so I'm going to try to cut to that. I'll talk to you guys later.
Have you ever been noob to?
Alright, voiceover. I literally couldn't find any other time to do this, so I'm on the way to school now. But if you didn't watch the last video, we're pretty much doing the same thing. Assignment is taking so much longer than I thought it would, so hopefully by the end of it I actually have like a good understanding of how to make a working robot. Finally finalized some details for the last two robots that I had to do. So again, just getting inspiration from other robots that I've seen and stuff. A while ago I played Horizon, and I also didn't realize that there was fast travel in that game, so I spent probably like half of the 40 hours I have on the game literally just going to places. The inspiration that I pulled from that game was for this really tall one. The inspiration was from the tall neck, which is like one of the biggest robots in that game. It has a whole like parkour system on its neck. I didn't add that, unfortunately, but I kind of wanted it to be like a scouting robot, as well as the other one I made, which was a bit off of an anglerfish. I'm sure you guys know what an anglerfish is. It's the one with the little light bulb on its head. And I also wanted that to be a scouting one, so it has a radar for a face. And then I also wanted to kind of like color coordinate them, so you can tell like, oh, this one's for scouting, this one's for collecting, this one's for demolition, whatever they're for. I tried to color coordinate them together. And I feel like it's going all right, moving a lot slower than I thought I would be for this assignment. And don't get me wrong, the assignment is pretty fun. But when I know that there's like a due date and a deadline, not so fun. And on top of all the other assignments that I have to do, like I have some stuff that are like final assignments that I've like barely even touched since I've been working on this. Also just looking at the reference for my tall neck robot, I kind of want to play Horizon again. I think I played it in like 2021. And then I was like so hyped for Forbidden West to come out, and I just never got it because I'm pretty sure I was busy again with doing all this school stuff. Any kind of robotic stuff in video games or movies or any mechanical robots are pretty cool, just because you can really take it in any direction that you want. Like you can make it super simplified, like who's that one robot from the Jetsons this made, or you can make it like super intricately detailed, like the Bayverse Transformers. Yo, I don't know if you guys saw that. I literally just passed Optimus Prime as I said that. I'm not even joking. But you can just do whatever you want with the robots. So that makes this assignment a little bit difficult in a way because I don't really know what he wants, or rather what my teacher expects from this assignment. I think as long as materials reflect the proper texture and like have decent lighting, I feel like that's probably the top thing to worry about. But I still like making the designs. I just find it really fun. And character design is like one of my favorite things to do when it comes to just the whole animation process. And now after watching the third year movies, I'm like even more excited to do character design because those guys also did some amazing work with making their own characters, even though I probably will have to turn them into rigs, which is a whole other thing. I don't even think I've talked about rigs on the channel at all, but that's something that we started this year too. Once I started kind of finishing off certain elements of like texture and the gloss, the shiny part of my robots, I realized, well, it actually wasn't me. It was a friend that told me that adding barnacles and stuff would probably make it look a little bit more worn, maybe some rust. I don't remember if I added the rust or not, and I don't know if I will in the final one because the lighting for it just looks a little bit funky. But the barnacles I did add, I'm not sure if that's in the recording because I ended up doing a bunch of this stuff like off cam that I'm talking about. But yeah, just adding barnacles to the suits that spend more time just in the water. I think once I'm doing like the final touches on like the last second, I'm gonna try to add some scuffs and scratches and stuff, because these guys are in like, well, not the deep sea, but they're in huge bodies of water breaking down shit. So I feel like it would make sense for them to have a little bit of damage or a little bit of wear and tear, I guess you could say. I don't really know which robot I like the most. I feel like if I say I like the mech, that's just too easy, because that was the first one that I did, and it was also like the most important one, because I have to think about how somebody will sit inside and control it. I also do like the little repair bot, because I feel like the lighting and the shading on that one went a little bit better than all the other ones so far. And I feel like the way that I'm lighting them is a little bit inconsistent, because I always end up like improving on what I was originally doing for lighting, because this assignment is taking so long. So like some parts look a little bit more detailed or a little bit like more stylized when it comes to the lighting, versus other parts that are really just like very basic shadows and highlights and a little bit of reflection. Then again, I try to keep the differences within the lighting and stuff kind of within the different colors. So like yellow metal is not going to be as shiny and metallic as the green metal, and the gray metal is going to have a lot more dark tones to it versus the yellow. So I think mixing it up like that also helped a lot in just trying to keep everything a unit, because that's another thing I really wanted to focus on, was just having a lot of, what's the word, congruency. I don't even know if that's a real word or not. Kind of just trying to make sure that all the robots look like they're actually a group and they're not just like random robots that all have the same job. Trying to make sure that they actually look like a team. This is what I have right now and how far I'm getting with this assignment. And this phone keeps falling and it's pissing me off. So pretty sure that's gonna be the end for this part. I will talk to you guys later.
I quit!
Oh, you know it's bad when I film the entire video from this car. I'm not really sure how long these newer videos are gonna be, just because I actually have like so much work to do. I really wish that I could get out and actually record some more interesting stuff for you guys, but I'm a slave to the animation world right now. And I just got one of my last assignments, which is watercolor for a robot. Future me will throw them up on the screen. I can't even bother to pull out the actual thing from my bag, and it's literally right there. But I also got like this fancy new pen, and then I literally just stole this. Yeah, I needed the paint. I cannot find any watercolor in my house. But if you don't already know how this part of the video goes, I usually just ask myself a few questions, so feel free to ask yourself these questions too. And I have just two that kind of feed into each other. And my question for this video is, what is infatuation? I've kind of just been thinking of this one kind of recently, just because I feel like it happens right when you find something new and interesting. And whether that be a new sport or a hobby, or even if you're just recently infatuated with someone new, it kind of takes over a little bit, and you think about the person or you think about the activity just all the time. So it is kind of difficult to get something you're infatuated with out of your head. And it's even harder because I feel like your brain kind of fills in the blanks for what you don't know, since it's so new. So if you're thinking about trying to get closer or get into a relationship with someone new, then your brain is already filling in all of those blank spaces that, you know, that might be really bad for you. They might try and influence you to do stuff that you don't want to, but you don't know that yet because it's so new and you're so infatuated with it. And that can go for things like sports too. Like if you want to become an Olympic swimmer, like you just saw some Michael Phelps highlights or something, and maybe you're not ready to strain your body and you're not ready to train your lung capacity. Maybe you're just not ready, but you can't stop thinking about, oh, I want to be a professional swimmer, because you really just don't know. So I think it's important to just remember and notice things rather than become infatuated with them right away, which is really hard. I think that preventing yourself from becoming infatuated with new things is kind of like automatic, and people instinctually do it rather than kind of seeing it and then deciding, I'm infatuated with this now. That rarely happens. I didn't steal this, just saying. So I think it's very important to just notice when you're being infatuated. And I think that infatuation is just something that piques your interest a lot and is kind of unavoidable in a way. More so unavoidable than controllable. I think once you realize that you're infatuated with someone, you kind of have to learn how to control it before you start spiraling, and maybe it becomes something that you're just so obsessed with and it starts like eating away at other things in your life that you have to focus on. And my next question for this video is also feeding into this one. Have you ever been infatuated with something? And for me, I feel like it happens with people, new people that I meet, especially if I see them often and they talk to me often, then I want to just keep talking more and more and try and get to know them. But I think that's mostly because when it happens for me, it's someone else starting the conversation, and then I kind of get pulled in and I'm like, well, now that you started talking, I want to keep talking, you know? Sometimes that happens where I feel just infatuated with someone new, and again, my brain kind of fills in the blanks like, oh wow, this person is literally like the GOAT. Like, I know them for like 2-3 weeks and I already consider them like a really close friend, someone that I can trust, but I don't really know that. And my brain instinctually kind of just does it to itself and it's like, yeah, of course you can trust this person. Like, they haven't shown you anything wrong. Even if there is something wrong, you just wouldn't know it yet. So I think that people would probably be something that I end up being infatuated with, especially if they're the people that strike up a conversation first. And I would say that I was a little more infatuated with art, I think, when I was younger. Now, of course, I still love it and I'm literally pursuing a job in it. But when I was younger, I just had a lot more freedom with what I could be interested in. And that to me makes sense. I think every kid was infatuated with something and they found their hobbies and their passions, and that's what makes you who you are right now. So for me, when I was young, I kind of got infatuated with art, just drawing characters off of shows or just watching a lot of cartoons, because I did do that too. I remember I had like a stack of pages like this thick as like a 10-year-old kid, and it was all just random Pokemon, because that was one of the first shows that I really watched, black and white as well. So when I was younger, I feel like it was a lot easier to get attached to things and become infatuated, versus now that I'm older, I know what I'm interested in, what my hobbies are. I still do find that I get infatuated with things and kind of not repeat, but I kind of fall into a cycle of just spending time on new things, even if they're like something small. Like last week, me and Justin were literally watching marble racing on TikTok for like an hour. Like, that's what I would call infatuation, because we were like getting hyped. That's a whole other story. But I think it kind of just comes out of nowhere when you're younger, but it can also come out of nowhere the older you are, because even if you're like 200 years old, which is really not possible, there's still going to be stuff that you don't know about and you might be interested in. So yes, I have been infatuated with things before. Mostly I think it's meeting new people. And when I was younger, I think it was just art, because that's what gave me my hobbies. But that's what made me me. I'm pretty sure that's all I have for this video. It might end up being really short, and these videos are getting super repetitive because I really don't have time to go out and do other stuff, especially when it comes to editing. And also, it's freezing outside now, so I don't really feel like going out all the time. But we'll see what happens. You're just gonna have to keep watching the new videos. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far, and remember, stay hydrated.